welcome to Virtual Vegfest Live. I'm Helene, and it's been a hot minute since we've done one. And I'm super excited about tonight's because we have Jenny Goldfarb from Mrs. Goldfarb's Unreal Deli. She is behind it, and we have a lot in common because we're both from New York, and I have some memories that we'll share tonight regarding what I grew up eating as a New York Jew. You can imagine everything she sells I grew up with. So that's really cool. So first some business. Thank you to Rebel Cheese for sponsoring our live talks this month, including the stew and everywhere else. And then if you want to win some prizes, go to virtualvegfest.com, hit the contest tab, and enter our wish pond to win some really cool prize packs from Fabulous, Rebel Cheese, not Crafters, Hodo Foods. I can always forget like who they are. Revolution Gelato, Cinnaholic. That's a lot. So there's 7 of them. And next month, we're gonna add Veggie as well. So you can go, you can enter, and you can win a cool prize pack. And that would be really cool. So anything else? Thanks, Rebel Cheese. Follow us. Vegan Stews on Wednesday. We're back. We had lots of stuff happening last week. So Coach Kayla filled in for us. That's at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. And let's start this off. If you have any questions or comments, you're going to put them in a little box and we'll definitely address them while we are live. And if you see us on a replay, put replay in the comments so we know that you watched it when we weren't live. Here we go. Hey, Jenny, how are you?
Hi, Helene. How you doing today?
I am doing well. Super, super excited to talk all Unreal Deli because
Here.
this is, it's almost like warming my heart to talk about something like this because we're going to go backwards. We're going to go back to
Yeah,
childhood
yeah,
over the course of the next half hour.
yeah.
So
We got to go back in order to go forward.
that is true. So Jenny, tell us everything about you and Unreal Deli and let's just start the conversation.
All right, everything about me. I grew up eating everything, the classic standard American diet, and about 6, 7 years ago, I learned how sad it truly is. I started seeing some videos of undercover investigations and documentary footage, and I could not believe my eyeballs. And I told my very meat and potatoes husband, we need to find another way. Slowly, painstakingly learned how to cook from the produce and grain sections of the grocery store with no prior real culinary knowledge, certainly no plant-based culinary knowledge. And little by little, I figured out how to make the family happy and how to make some delicious meals. And I wanted to create a vegan food blog initially. That's what I did. It was called Count Your Colors, and we put out these different video recipes each week. And it was for that endeavor that I really got just deep into plant-based cookbooks and to figuring out how to make creative, exciting recipes. And so when one day I had a hankering for a good New York City deli sandwich, I was able to whip something up. And when friends and family started tasting what I whipped up that I thought I might just share on my food blog, they said, don't share that recipe, make this thing and sell it. And they pushed me hard enough that I rented a tiny commercial kitchen for $25 an hour, where I cooked it myself and washed the dishes myself. And in the days I wasn't doing that, I would drive around Los Angeles to try and sell it. And I started selling it to the big New York City style delis we have out here in LA. And once we started seeing so many reorders and so much excitement over this corned beef that I'd made, we realized we were really onto something. So I'll start it like that.
That's awesome. So how was the family transition?
Not easy. There were a lot of very bad meals along the way and a lot of ridicule and a lot of I don't want to do this. I had at the time my older kids were like toddlers, and I was able to kind of like push it on them without getting too much pushback, but my husband certainly, it was like a little bit painstaking. Um but every now and then I would make something that would be so good, like you wouldn't believe there wasn't meat and dairy in it and eggs, and I was like, I want to share with people how doable and delicious this really is. So that's why the blog was kind of my first step, and I very proudly like to announce that that blog was a bit of a failure. It didn't really necessarily lead to anything that moved the needle. It didn't, get me any big promotional activity or anything, and but yet it led to this business. So it was a real blessing in disguise.
Yeah, it's something that a lot of people, like one person says, I'm going to go vegan, typically the woman,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
Sometimes the other way, but typically it's the female. And
yeah.
also typically the woman in the household is probably doing most of the cooking.
That's
Not
right.
to be sexist,
Oh no,
it's just the
yeah, we've
way
got the
things are
power.
right, typically can be.
That's
And
right.
obviously there's outliers, just so people know, like
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not,
yeah.
not saying that's everything, but
Sorry.
they end up with that same thing, like, different meals in the house. Like I'll cook my own. I'm not gonna, it depends on how ethical you get with like the veganism. Like I'm not cooking meat anymore. Some households
Yeah,
they cook meat and they cook vegan for
yeah,
themselves.
yeah, yeah. No,
And
wasn't doing that.
right, right. And you just, I mean, it's interesting to share that because that's something I know a lot of people can relate to and it's very familiar.
Totally. Totally. Yeah. I think that part of why it's the women is because we have this kind of like maternal, empathic, emotional like side to us that's oftentimes stronger than men. And so when we, especially with regards to like the videos of what's happening to these animals, I think that like when we see that, there's like something inside that's like, this is completely not okay. Whereas maybe men somehow have like, I don't know, with like football and being rough and fighting wars, we're like not of that speed. So we're like, this doesn't work.
And
Anyway,
then you add being Jewish on top of that.
it's the whole
Oh,
package,
we need to feed an army today.
right?
Oh, 2 people are coming over? Oh, I'll put out a whole spread.
Totally. Totally. So I've got this like Jewish mother thing, which is like always wants to feed everybody. So yeah, it's a good
Yep,
combo.
grew up in it, grew up in a
Uh-huh.
catering hall,
Uh-huh.
totally understand. Is
Love that,
I
Helene.
just
Wow.
yeah, so this so you obviously we know how this came about. You
Yeah.
wanted to have something, your friends and family were like, "Oh, make this, make this." You go in,
Right.
you start making it in a commercial kitchen because that's how
Yep.
you have to start. And
Mm-hmm.
then suddenly, I guess you started looking for a packer.
Yep. Yep.
So
I
how
had
difficult that was.
difficult, but it
It's
happens.
yes, it's not easy because I
Yep.
talking to at the plant-based expo in New York City recently, a friend's company is looking for a packer. And in talking to everybody, what I found was guess where they actually get their stuff packaged? Not in this country.
Yeah.
They
Sure.
do it someplace else.
Sure.
In Europe, I
Yeah.
mean, I was surprised.
I know.
That doesn't really help. Be like, "Oh, they go over here and they go over there, but who is,"
Right.
and then the people who are here, they built their own factory.
Yeah. So we're doing co-packing, which is not our own factory, but it's also not overseas. It's actually right here in the LA area. So we're able to like pop in and taste samples on the regular and have like a bit of a hands-on experience with it.
Yeah, that's important. And so,
Yeah.
like, I'm really glad you found that. I'm very glad you found it close by because
Thank you.
it's not easy. I
Yeah.
learned that by asking for my friend.
None of it's easy, but yeah, that part especially.
Yeah, so how do you go from driving around LA to putting the products on your shelves and on the shelves and Shark Tank?
Yeah.
Like who said you got to do Shark Tank?
So I live in LA, so there's like a bit of like a whole like TV movie mentality. In fact, when the
Mhm.
business first got started and I was selling to the local delis, my husband, who works in the film industry, was like, "You should sell to the movie studio lots. That's like the coolest next place. We live in LA." So I actually got it onto the Fox studio lot and on the Netflix studio lot. And I was driving home from Netflix on the freeway when I got a call from a casting director from Shark Tank because I had sent in a like one page web application of like, here's the domain, here's who we are. So I got this call and they asked me to send a video in for like a video application and then literally 50-page handwritten applications. Okay. It was so intense. But finally, after all of this, I was on the show. All of the sharks were eating my vegan corned beef sandwiches. And it was the most exhilarating experience of my life. And I went on the show looking for 100 grand for 10% of the business, thinking I might give up as much as 30% for that 100 grand, just knowing the way Shark Tank works. And I wound up with like the most sweetheart deal. Mark Cuban swooped in and said, I'll give you, you have to give it, take it or leave it right now, but I'll give you 250,000 for 20%. So I said, done, sign it up, seal it, I'm out of here. And then it aired at the end of 2019. And when that airing happened, it was just really astronomical. I want to say, like, up until that point, we had like 15,000 in revenues. And that night, we had like an additional 70 came in on the website, you know? And then there was like another 20 to 30 each night thereafter for like a week. I mean, that's just the online store. On top of that, of course, people were writing me from grocery outlet, from grocery, you know, chains, from restaurants, and so exciting. And then at the end of that, at the end of 2019, we were getting into all these food service outlets. So we were servicing all these different kinds of restaurants, including Quiznos. And the tests that we were running in some restaurants, including Quiznos, were going so well that they wanted us to like fully expand. So Quiznos actually said, we want to order 30,000 pounds to deliver in April of 2020. Of course, we all know what happened in March of 2020, and all of those restaurant partners became, you know, very concerned about keeping their own business alive. They were not looking to expand into new products. And so our stuff got put on ice. And so we were very concerned how to like stay alive as a business in light of COVID. No one knew it was going to last the amount of years it lasted, but we still figured we need to pivot into retail to meet the customer where they are, like ASAP. And so we developed our first retail packaging for our Unreal corned beef. And then we realized that guy couldn't sit on shelves by itself. So we put together Unreal roasted turkey and Unreal steak slices, like a super fine quality roast beef, if you will. And what folks love so much about these meats is that they're actually made with whole vegetables, that we literally make a vegetable smoothie. And then we combine that with protein rich grains like wheat protein and chickpea protein. And we bake that with a complex spice blend, and we bake it and then thin slice it. And we're now selling it all across the country. So when we created that retail packaging back in 2020, our goal for 2021 was 1,200 grocery doors. We thought if we could get 100 stores a month, that'd be a really great first year in retail. By December, we were in 2,300 doors. So we like totally outdid ourselves. And it's a very exciting story. And we're really just getting started because we're now taking, not only are we selling our retail packs into the stores, but we're starting to get into service delis. So we have an unsliced product that we're literally setting into the glass case there. And I can't share the first retailer yet, but a very big retailer is going to be bringing us on starting this summer in the service delis. And it's such an exciting part of the store to get to help, you know, revolutionize, veganize. So that's what we're up to.
That's incredible. Congratulations
Thank
on
you.
being astute enough to pivot, because
Yeah.
working with a lot of businesses with doing what we do,
Yeah.
I spoke to a lot of them, and a lot of them said something like, "Well, I'm not going to do anything. I'm just going to see. I'm going to
Yeah.
wait to the next whatever. I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing."
Right.
And I'd be like, "You're not going to make it. You can't just stay on the same path when the world around you is throwing you off of that path.
Totally.
You can't keep forcing yourself on it. You have to pivot with
Right.
what's going on around you." And COVID was a COVID was one of those things that messed with all of us.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, I just wanted to see our small businesses make it
I know.
through to when we could be in person again. And
Yeah.
we kept doing events. We did events. We did an event 2020. We did 5 events last year. We'll do 9 or 10 of them this year.
Well,
And so we've been doing it,
yeah.
but it's been different
Yeah.
because, you know, temperatures or masks or whatever
Yeah.
is out there, and people still had to food shop, which was
Of course.
which I mean, even if you weren't thinking like, let's go to the consumer and put it on the shelves,
Yeah.
it's not a bad idea to go to the consumer and put it on the shelves. I mean, look
Right.
at, I mean, Beyond and Impossible said, we're going to give it to food service. And then people were like, yo, when can I get this in the stores? And they eventually got into the stores.
Yep.
But that was intentional on their parts,
Yeah.
you know? And so that's it's it's so I mean, that it always impresses me. It's a true business person who understands to pivot and so successfully. And Mark Cuban, I mean, Shark Tank, we've had people on, like Wild Earth has been on. They're one of our sponsors of our
Totally.
festivals.
Love it.
So they Mark Cuban also invented in Wild Earth, which is vegan
Yep.
dog food.
Yep.
So
My dog eats it every day.
he's a big fan of vegan companies.
Totally. He knows that this is the future of food. And he's mostly vegan, by the way. He announced being vegetarian on my segment, but then later came out on future episodes and talks how he's cut out milk and dairy. So we're getting him.
Oh yeah, and the other thing I just read recently about Shark Tank,
Yeah.
I think it was an article that said what you don't know is that the sharks don't like know anything.
They only know
Like,
your first name when you walk out. That's correct. I also thought like they're going to be vetting me and they'll know
mhm.
everything, And anyway, not true, which is why there's a 2-month due diligence process after the show,
Yep.
really just to verify everything that you said when you were on stage was true and accurate. So, yeah, that's what.
Yeah, that and when you open the doors, when they open the doors and you walk in, you're on. Like
Right.
both of you
So
are just cold. You're just okay.
completely, completely. And also, like, it's on us to like run the room because you're being like barked at like from every direction. And you have to be able to the one to figure out like who am I going to answer when, how am I going to play everybody? So it's a lot. In fact, there was a day before the day that I was actually like live on the show. It was called your pre-pitch day when you met a whole bunch of colorful entrepreneurs that were like giving their own pre-pitches to the executive producers and they're making sure everyone had the right costumes and script and all this. And I met a guy whose shoot date was before mine. And I said to him, "Can I reach out to you? Will you tell me how it went?" And he said, "Yeah." He's like, "I had to sign all these NDAs saying I wouldn't tell outsiders, but they didn't tell me I couldn't tell you." So he told me, he said to me, he was really the one saying like they're going to be throwing it in every direction. So he knew that I had a little baby at the time. I had a 2-month old when I was on Shark Tank, and I had two bigger kids. So he said, "Have your kids fighting with your big kids fighting while your baby is crying, and have your husband ask you financial questions. And if you can answer those, you'll be fine in the tank." That was like my way to prep to be on the show, and I did, and it worked. So
Well, it's definitely well, baby, kids, husband. If you can multitask that
right,
and
you
run
can
a
run a business
business,
totally,
right? I mean, if you're running a business
totally.
already with 3 kids and a husband, so it's and pets because I see
Yeah,
someone
there's
running
definitely
around.
something. I prefer to say someone, but yeah, he's resting.
Okay.
Monty, my little 10-year-old vegan dog.
Oh, that's so sweet. Well, that's pretty awesome. I'm really glad that he saw the
Um,
value in that, and it's
thanks,
neat to
Helene.
have that connection of Mark Cuban with bunch of people that have been on the show. So that's
I love
it's
that.
yeah, and I know he's pretty hands on, and he gets on calls, and he wants to see you survive and be
Yeah,
successful.
he does. He recently made another investment in Unreal Deli, and I keep in like very regular correspondence. I actually write to him every week, and he always sends me a little something back. And so I feel like I have like a pulse on like what's happening there, and I can get him kind of when I need him a little bit.
Oh, that's so cool.
It
All
is.
right,
Thanks.
so let's go back to so. You want to have like this type of deli.
Yeah.
And I hope people don't I don't think people understand if you don't grow up Jewish in New York or LA or a
Mhm.
Jewish community, Florida probably has it too.
Right, right, right.
But in
We
New
don't have
York,
any iconic
really it's
delis.
really New York food
Right.
because no one else really does it like New York does.
Sure, sure.
Growing up, going to a New York deli, the mustard, the
Yep.
celery and cream soda, which I don't like.
Celery, my favorite.
But
Dr.
it's like to
Brown.
me, that's, like, really gross, but my dad absolutely loved it.
My dad
Right,
got me
so
into celery also.
so, I mean, these are things that you did. You
Sure,
went to a Jewish deli, you
sure.
got that soda,
Yep,
cream soda, celery soda,
right.
root beer, so it was more
Blackberry.
so the cream sodas, and
Yeah,
then you ordered pastrami on rye
sure.
or
Yep,
corned beef on rye, and the sandwiches were, like, the size of our
right,
heads,
that's right.
and you pickles
Yep, sour pickles,
and coleslaw,
sauerkraut,
and
coleslaw.
right, and that's what you grew up eating. To me, like, kinda blended because
Yeah,
I didn't like coleslaw, I didn't like certain things when I was a kid, but as we were saying before we went live, one of my fondest memories
Hmm.
is being with my dad
Yep.
at Nunley's on Long Island. So a lot of people I know probably understand what I'm talking about. Nunley's was a cute little amusement park that had an
Hmm.
indoor carousel,
Hmm.
and they had a deli section like in front, kind of like almost like a Nathan's. It was pretty wide and long and like narrowish type thing. And we would go there, and I would want to ride the carousel, of course, but we'd also sit down and get a corned beef sandwich.
Mm.
And that's one of my fondest memories of like my whole life. I'm
Uh,
52 years old. It's one of
I
my most
love that.
fondest memories. And I've said to people, I mean, ethical vegan, I wouldn't eat corned beef. I really don't want to eat corned beef. But
Right.
emotionally,
Mm.
memory wise,
Yep.
I want to eat corned beef.
Right.
Not because I want the sandwich, but because I want to go back to that memory.
Totally.
Because
Totally.
food and music equate to memories.
Right.
And music's a little easier because you don't have to eat it. But that is just, I mean, I see myself sitting there. I know what the chairs feel like. I know what the
Totally.
chairs look like,
Totally.
and I was, like I said, I don't know, it's probably between 8 and 10 years old.
Yeah.
I mean, that's at this point a long time now.
Mm,
And
this is
that
why
is,
it was so important for me to be able to like get these old school deli establishments to take it on, because I knew that we could get like the cool sandwich chains to try it, but I wanted these old school delis that you could like go into the booth and the whole place has a certain smell and a feel and it's just old, and there you are getting this like modern cool sandwich. So that was very much part of my impetus for starting this whole thing.
yeah,
These-
I mean, and that you just get people because there's a lot of vegans who miss these foods.
Right.
And it's one thing to sit and find a cookbook or a recipe and to make it yourself.
Yeah.
I the time.
Totally. That's
It's
what I found when I was doing my food blog. I remember there were some days where I would like post an image of like, "Hey, we're making this in the blog next week," and that would get more likes than the actual video. And I was like, people don't want to go to like the far off corner in the store, and just make it easy for them. Give them what they want. So I definitely say the food business over the food blogging business is for sure the way to go.
yeah, that makes it does. And giving like convenience, or we're Americans.
Hmm.
We tend to be a fan of
Right.
convenience.
Right.
So, picking up a package in what stores?
So now we're in over 2,000 stores throughout the country. They include Publix, which is our largest account today. We're in ShopRite and Wegmans and HEB and Ralph's and Select Whole Foods. More than that, Fresh Time. The list goes on. Check out our website, unrealdeli.com. There's a Find Near Me tab so you can see where you can get it near you.
That's perfect. I was just on the site, and the other thing that's really cool is when you go to unrealdeli.com, you can ship.
Hmm.
You can order
Yeah, we ship
even.
everywhere in the 48 United States and the contiguous United States. And the pricing is a little bit higher, certainly, than what you'd see in the grocery store. But because you're buying in bulk, because it's, in order to ship a box with ice packs and all this, you want to get at least a couple pounds. So it winds up working out to actually less than the grocery store in quantity. But yeah, we're happy to have that offering.
Yeah, that's awesome because I mean, people still may be a little shy to go to the store, and I'm a fan of shipping sometimes, and I'm also a fan of sometimes getting more than I can get at the store and
Right.
just throwing it like in the freezer or whatever I need to
Totally.
do.
Totally.
So I could feed an army in my house right now.
Nice.
So
Good Jewish lady.
just that's the way it is. Yeah, I know.
It's part of
I
the bloodline.
it's I guess everyone knows someone who's Jewish at this point. Well,
Mm,
at least our age, they
mhm,
know. I mean,
mhm.
it's just I want to feed you. I want to feed you vegan food, actually. And
For
so I don't want to
sure.
feed you anything else but vegan food. But I'll make you some
Mhm.
really good food to make you go, wow,
Right,
I want to be eating vegan food.
right, right.
Because that's food. I call food, the vegan food is the gateway drug to veganism.
I love it.
Because that's, I mean, doing
Or
festivals.
animal or undercover animal investigations. That's another game. It's another route. I'm not saying it's a good route, but it's a route.
That
Just
is
learn that.
true. If you end up at the ethics, that
Mhm.
your route is more the ethical route as opposed to the health route. When people go and they understand that piece,
Yeah,
they're more likely to stick with the veganism.
Totally.
because they understand the why.
Totally.
They equate the why not to just I want to eat
Right.
healthier,
Right.
because you don't necessarily eat healthier as a vegan. You could be a junk food vegan and you'd be just as unhealthy as someone on a sad diet, standard American, diet.
100%.
But when you throw in the ethics or you learn about the environment or you do all three, it tends to hit home more. So
For
it's really
sure.
cool that it hit home for you. Do you tell your kids? Do you talk about that with your kids?
So I do. I have a couple of Ruby Roth books, which she
Mm,
has these lovely children's books that are
right.
actually really serious books. And my kids know that we don't want to hurt animals straight up. So they get it. Actually, on Wednesday, tomorrow, it's pizza day at school. And even my husband was like, let them get regular pizza, let them feel normal. And I was like, I'm reaching out to the school. I'm getting vegan pizza. If anyone's going to do this, Mrs. Goldfarb's going to do this. They got vegan pizza on that menu now. So that's what they get on Wednesdays. So yeah, little by little.
That's awesome. And
Mhm.
that's good. Good for you for advocating for your kids.
For sure.
And I find a lot of my friends' kids that are being raised vegan, they advocate for themselves.
Yeah.
Is that vegan cheese? Because
Nice.
the adults may look at them and say, "Oh, just eat it."
Hmm.
And the kids are like, "Is that vegan?" And then
Right.
the adults are like,
Totally. Totally.
no, well, I'm not eating that. I'm vegan."
Yeah.
I'm not, I mean, the kids go as far to say things like that's a dead animal or I don't harm
Mhm.
animals or
Mhm.
that's killing the planet because, the mouths of babes, right? Oh,
Sure.
how weird. My computer just did some funky stuff. Okay.
I'm still here.
Yeah, that was like really strange. All right. Well, we are close to like our half hour. So I want to
That's
give you
true.
the opportunity to say anything that you want to say. How do people get in touch with you?
Aw,
And whatever you want to say.
thanks, Helene. Well, I'm just really excited about this entire opportunity. I love what you're doing here. I want to thank you and your listeners for being vegan and for being like the early revolutionaries in what will undoubtedly be a worldwide movement before long. Um, Yeah, it's such a pleasure to be like of this kind of esteemed tribe right now because I feel like we're still the harbingers of this. Like, hey, we found this incredible thing, and this is like answers so many questions of the universe of how we're supposed to live and how we can live like with the most vitality and the most ethical standards and really the most compassion for the world and for ourselves. And so I just feel like even though being Jewish is a special tribe, I feel like being vegan is equally or more special to be in this time and space today. So I want to thank you guys for being of this ilk, and please check out our deli meats, unrealdeli.com. We have a really fun, engaged audience on our social media at Unreal Deli on Facebook and Instagram and all the places. I personally post some fun pro animal, good vegan stuff content on my Mrs. Goldfarb, mrs.goldfarb handle at Instagram, which is like a little bit more personal, but I always like push the animals and all of our all of our schemes. And so anyway, I'm just very excited to be connecting with you, Helene, and your audience. And I hope you guys will try making a delicious sandwich and tag us with what you come up with because the meats are amazing, and we have new ones coming before long. And soon we'll be at service delis, so you'll be able to like walk up to your service deli, and there'll be like Boar's Head, and then there'll be Unreal Deli, and you'll be like, "I'll take a half a pound of that, and can you also make me a sandwich with this one?" And times are changing, so that's my news for this show. And thank you, Helene.
Oh, no, thank you, Jenny. That is, I think, one of the coolest things that a video needs to be posted is when they do the first cut of the deli meat on a separate, I'm guessing a separate slicer because
Believe it or not, Helene, I mean, I've been asked this a number of times. They're like, is a separate slicer needed? And as you know, I started my whole business in the local delis. And it was just so happened that no vegan or vegetarian or flexitarian certainly minded. And the reason why I realized is that veganism, it's not like kosher laws. If something's kosher and something's not kosher and it touches the other thing is suddenly not kosher anymore. It doesn't work that way with us. With us, it's like, we're all trying to like save an innocent life, eat a little healthier, not hurt the environment. And so if it touches the thing, it doesn't make it not that anymore. And so I'm telling them, slice it right on there. 99.9% of, vegans, vegetarians won't mind this. And that's just really what they're going to be doing. So, and I think it's a way to like ingratiate it and make it even more normal that like, put it right there on the same slicer. We're good to go, you know?
That's I can't wait to see what happens. Because I can tell you that a lot of the vegans that I know, nope.
All right. Okay. Okay. So
It'll
maybe
be
not
sort of
99.9.
I
But
100 yeah, I hope
yeah,
so.
we've been doing it in the delis for quite some time, and there really hasn't been any pushback. It's just really been very much embraced. So anyway, we'll stay tuned on that.
Yeah, my hope is that the people ordering it aren't vegan.
Yeah.
That's my hope, is
Yeah.
that they go in and instead of getting corned beef or turkey or roast beef, that they
Right.
opt for the vegan version
That's
because,
right.
1, they like it better,
Yeah.
and 2, maybe they understand it's better for their health, and
Right.
3, they realize that it's they can get the same taste and
Totally.
texture and feel and not have to harm the animals or the planet. And that to me, not the vegans eating your food,
Sure.
that to me would be the biggest possible win out
Totally. And
there.
it is our biggest sector. Like we're really out there speaking to flexitarians every day. We know that vegans will always be in our corner. They always want this to eat. And we love our vegan community more than anything. But we know that the largest demographic are these flexitarians, people who are saying, all right, a few times I don't have to eat meat at every meal. And so we're here for that party. And we're really here to like literally close slaughterhouses and make the best sandwiches ever. So,
Well, then there we go. That's
yeah,
absolutely perfect. Well, Jenny, thank you so much for
so
joining
nice to
me.
spend this half hour with you, Helene. Thank you for the
Mhm.
opportunity and
Oh,
all the
you're
best to
welcome.
you.
All right, thank you. So let me put you in the green room. There we go. Well, thank you once again for joining Virtual Vegfest Live. This is a briefer edition because it was only a half hour. But what you can do is go to virtualvegfestlive.com and enter a contest and win prize packs from Hodo Foods, Familish, Follow Your Heart, Revolution Gelato, Terra Seed, Cinnaholic, and Rebel Cheese. And then next month, we're going to add Veggie to that list. Super excited. I wrote them down so that I can remember to tell you who they all are. We will be back. Let's see, today's Tuesday. So tomorrow, 7 p.m. Eastern Time for the vegan stew. Thursday at 12:30, you have yoga with Vibrant with Vic. And then next Monday, fireside chat with Kimberly. She's over a year old now, which is great for her show. And that also is at 7 p.m. Eastern Time. Yoga's at 12:30 p.m. on Thursday, Eastern Time. So thank you for joining us. Look forward to seeing you again. And join us on the vegan stew for our vegan comeback show, which should be cool. What do you say when somebody says something like plants feel? Well, join the show to find out what we would say. Have a great night and be kind to one another because that's important. Bye.